Just continuing from last week, a suggestion was made that we should take a vow to live a more conscious life. And I remembered about the first time I heard Swami Parthasarathi speak. It was in Perth in 1992, back in April 1992. I remember it was Easter time, and he was giving an introductory talk to a weekend retreat. So the retreat was the following weekend, and he was giving an introductory talk. Now, he was very, very Indian. He was sitting on a podium, cross-legged, with his mala kuta, his stripe across his forehead. And he was saying God is operating. This is what I was hearing anyway. God is operating. I couldn't understand. What is God operating on? God is operating. And it wasn't until after the lecture that I was told by Swamiji himself, because I was introduced to him. He must have thought that I was the strangest person, but he said, no, God is all-pervading. God is all-pervading. So then it made sense. God is he's not operating, he's all-pervading. Meaning that God, or the source, or whatever you like to call it, the self, the higher self, the divine principle, the divinity within, whatever you like to call it, that divinity is all-pervading. It is everywhere. There is no place where it doesn't exist. It is in this computer. It is in this room. It is in the kitchen. It is in the laundry. It is in the office. God is all-pervading. God, everything in this world, every being is nothing but God. It's like how we can understand this, because it may seem strange that God is everywhere. If God is everywhere, why can't I recognize God? Why can't I see God? Why can't I experience God all the time? If he's all-pervading, why am I not experiencing God? Why am I experiencing this limited existence where I feel stressed when things go wrong, when I'm happy, when things are good, up and down all the time? Why aren't I feeling that constant state of peace and bliss? Now, to help us understand this, imagine a dream. In the dream, what is pervading the dream? The dream is pervaded by the waker's mind, by your own mind. The dream is pervaded. Everything in the dream, from you to the sun, the moon, the stars, the flora, fauna, everything in the dream is the waker's mind. Similarly, everything in this waking world is nothing but the self or divinity, God. God is all-pervading. So when we say live a more conscious life, we have a choice where we place our focus. See, if you put your finger, everybody put their finger up in front of them. Look at the finger in front of you. What happens to the background? The background is blurred. Now look at the background. What happens to the finger? The finger is blurred, right? So where we place our focus is really important in life. Imagine that the finger is God, and we're extrovert in our nature. We're looking outside of ourselves for our happiness. So the outside, the screen is clear, but the finger is out of focus. God is out of focus. So living a more conscious life is bringing that finger into focus. When you bring the finger into focus, the background becomes blurry. Everything outside becomes almost irrelevant. There is only one thing that's important in life, and that is the realization of yourself, divinity, God, whatever you like to call it. So living a more conscious life is living a life filled with divinity. Now, you don't tell anybody that because I think you're crazy. But, you know, one of the teachings at the Vedanta Academy, I mean, I met Swamiji in 1992, and I was in the academy in India 6 weeks later. It wasn't an impulsive decision at all. For 4 years, I'd been investigating the truth, wanting to know what life is all about, wanting to know where happiness is. 4 years I'd spent reading and attending courses, and it sent me to Perth, and, you know, I did a course in Perth, and that's where I was introduced to Vedanta. I met Swamiji, attended his retreat. 6 weeks later, I was in India, doing a 3-year full-time residential course at the Vedanta Academy. And I stayed for 6 years. Call me a slow learner, perhaps that's right. But 6 years I was in India studying Vedanta, and it was the most brilliant time in my life. Difficult, not without its challenges. It was like spiritual boot camp, honestly. Every day for 6 years, like spiritual boot camp. But it was transformational. Now, what we learned at the Vedanta Academy, I want to share with you today, because this is the gist of the Gita. This is the message that, even though the Gita is a story about the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, we don't worry about the story. We want to get the message, because the message is what helps us transform. That's what we're interested in here. If you're not interested in transforming your personality, in becoming a better human being, then perhaps this class is not for you, because we're not going into the story so much as trying to gain the message. Now, the message here in the Gita and the message in the Vedanta Academy was that we need to prepare our mind for meditation. The whole world is meditating to quieten the mind. But you need 3 spiritual disciplines in your life, practice daily, to quieten your mind. Now, just winding the clock back to when we started, we said that God is all pervading. There is no place where God does not exist. So if that be the case, why aren't we experiencing God? We're not experiencing God. We're not experiencing divinity so much because there is a barrier. And that barrier is our own mind. And our mind is full of desires, full of likes and dislikes. And these desires and likes and dislikes take us all over the place. We're running all over the place, trying to find happiness, trying to find fulfillment, not realizing that that fulfillment exists right within us. We are fully full already, but because there is this barrier called our mind, which is full of desires, This inhibits us from being able to see God or see divinity. So what we need to do to be able to see divinity, what we need to do to be able to experience peace and bliss is offload our desires. Now, when we go to a meditation class, this is what we're doing, but it's only temporary. We're not really offloading our desires. We're experiencing a state of peace in that moment, for that moment, and maybe a little bit longer. Maybe it will linger a little bit longer. But those agitations of our mind come back. That's because we haven't dealt with the desires. Does that make sense? We haven't dealt with the desires. So at the Vedanta Academy, we practiced 3 spiritual disciplines. Karma yoga, 3 yogas, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga. Actually, there were 4, hatha yoga as well. Every day we were doing hatha yoga. Every day, ritualistic practice of hatha yoga. But we didn't finish there. We had to perform karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga. Now, I'm just going to give you a brief understanding of these 3 yogas because they're pre-meditative practices. They're not understood in today's world because people want that peace immediately. You know, we live in an instant world. We want things immediately. We want to feel that peace immediately. So we go to a meditation class, we feel peaceful. Great. Nothing wrong with that. We should do relaxation. We should enjoy these experiences, but with the understanding that they are not permanent. These 3 spiritual disciplines, karma, bhakti, and jnana, they give you the permanent sense of peace. Because what we need to do to be able to meditate effectively is we need a peaceful mind. We need a mind that is not going all over the place, not running helter-skelter, you know, away from this point of focus, not going to the kitchen, not going to the office, not going to the family or the wherever. Okay. We need to offload our desires. Otherwise, it's like a plane trying to take off. You know, imagine a plane trying to take off. That's why they are very, very fussy with weight, how much baggage you can carry onto a plane. You can't carry endless amounts of baggage. You have a certain amount which you can carry onto the plane. No more. Absolutely no more. Otherwise, the plane will not take off. If the plane is overloaded with too much baggage, it will not take off. Or if it does take off, it will crash. Similarly, if we are overloaded with too many desires, too much baggage, and we try to meditate, we try to focus on a single thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts, we will do damage to ourselves. So we've got to be careful. We need to offload these desires, and the way to do it is through the practice of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga. And this is what the Gita teaches us, these 3 spiritual disciplines. This is what evolution is all about, because these disciplines make us more unselfish. They make us clear in our thinking. If you could use the word selfless instead of unselfish, but you really need to become unselfish before you become selfless. That we will deal with on another day. But they make you selfless. They make you clear. You have clarity of thinking. There is feelings of genuine love for others, not this attached love that we feel for others, not this petty feeling. It's more a genuine, deep feeling of love and compassion for others that you develop. So what we might do at this point is, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. You can put your hand up and feel free, unmute yourself and feel free to ask. Yes, Ash.
Can you just confirm, sorry, just the three lots of yoga? It was karma, bhakti, and
Jnanam. I
the
haven't.
last.
Jnanam. Gnanam, or jnana, Gnana, jnana yoga.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's okay. Jnana. Now, I'll briefly explain what these are, what these yogas are. Karma yoga offloads the bulk of our desires. Karma yoga is the path of action. It means doing what you ought to be doing in life without any attachment to what it is that you're doing. There's zero attachment. So in Arjuna's case, he was fully attached. Therefore, he wasn't able to do anything. He fully attached because he personalized everything. He took everything personally and collapsed on the battlefield. He wasn't able to do any action. So karma yoga is doing what you're meant to do. Arjuna was meant to fight a battle. That's what he was meant to do. He's meant to be a warrior, meant to be who he is. Fight the battle without attachment. In other words, do it with love, without hatred. Fight a battle without hatred. That's what he was meant to be doing. That's what we're meant to be doing in karma yoga. We are doing what we are designed to be doing without any attachment, meaning doing it with love, doing it with gratitude, anything in life. So we can bring this karma yoga into our daily life by just being aware of how it is that we're acting. Now, the key to karma yoga, or the key to all these yogas, is having a higher goal in life. I'll get on to bhakti and jnanam in a minute, but having a higher goal in life. This is probably the most important and first spiritual discipline. Fix a higher goal. What is it that you want to achieve? Not personally, but a higher goal. You could say, becoming a better human being. Becoming the best human being that I possibly can be. That's one idea. Strengthening my ability to manage my mind so that I'm not impulsive, so that I'm able to make clear, rational decisions. Strengthening this ability in myself. The Gita will definitely help you achieve this. It will help you become a better human being. It will help you gain clarity and make clear, rational decisions in life. Make right choices. Or your goal may be the highest, which is self-realization, God realization, realizing that divinity that pervades the whole world, the whole universe. So that is something that we need to think about. What is my goal? What is it that I want to achieve? So when we're practicing karma yoga, which offloads most of our desires, because why it's important to offload our desires is otherwise our life is helter-skelter. It's rush, 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 rush. We have too many desires within us. There's no peace. We want the peace, but there's no peace within us. We're rush, rush, rush all the time. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Not getting anything. This is the problem with life today. Everybody's in a rush. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Impatient. Not enough time. Oh, I don't have time for a Bhagavad Gita class. Are you kidding? On a Thursday at lunchtime? Forget it. No time. Understandable, but this is because of too many desires. To be peaceful, we need only a few desires. We don't need all the extra nonsense that we put ourselves under. So, doing what you're designed to do. So this means that we need to analyze, what am I meant to be doing in life? What is my personality? What is my nature? What am I meant to be doing? You know, I'll give you my own example. I used to be a fashion designer many, many years ago. 30 plus years ago, I was a fashion designer living on the Gold Coast in Queensland. Totally different life. That's why I say the Vedanta Academy and everything Vedanta was totally transformational. Turned me completely 180 degrees because I wasn't happy back then, but I was good at what I was doing. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you ought to be doing it. I could be good at cooking. Doesn't mean I should be a chef. You could be good at many things. Doesn't mean you should be going down that direction. You could be a highly creative person. Doesn't mean you should follow every whim that you have. So understand your nature. This requires self-analysis. The best time to do this is first thing in the morning, which brings us onto the second yoga, jnana yoga. Jnana means knowledge. Well, jnanam means knowledge. You can add the M on the end if you wish. Jnanam means knowledge. Now, where are we getting our knowledge from? Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the knowledge. We're not talking about knowledge of medicine or knowledge of engineering or knowledge of law, knowledge of cooking, knowledge of anything to do with anything in the world. That is not what we're talking about when we're referring to jnanam. Jnanam is spiritual knowledge, which is found in the Bhagavad Gita or Vedanta. Vedanta is the philosophy of the Gita. So the best time to practice jnanam is first thing in the morning. As early, there's a spiritual time of the day between 4 and 6 a.m. Now, I'm not suggesting that you get up at 4, but if you're able to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and give yourself an hour of time for yourself, reflection and contemplation. You know, many people complain that they don't have any time for themselves. Oh, I don't have any time. Create that time for yourself by getting up early in the morning and give yourself the gift of time with study and reflection. Jnanam is studying the knowledge just a little. You don't have to read volumes. You just read a paragraph or two and then reflect on what you have read. Reflection means questioning. This is the practice. This is like yoga for your intellect. Yoga for your intellect. You are stretching your intellect, stretching your mind, strengthening your intellect to manage your mind through questioning. What does he mean when he says, talks about the law of karma, for example? What does it mean that there are consequences to actions? Where have I seen this applied in my life? Where have I seen this functioning in other people's lives? So questioning what it is that you're reading. That is reflection. That is contemplation. And if we can give ourselves this time from 5 to 6 in the morning, it doesn't really work any other time. I've been getting up from 4 to 6 every day for 32 years. Started at the Vedanta Academy 32 years ago. Every day for 32 years. And it is the best time of the day. So in this time, you can try this first thing tomorrow morning. Ask yourself the question, what is it that I want to achieve? What is the goal that I want to pitch up for myself? Perhaps it's just understanding your nature. What is my nature? Ask yourself these questions. What was I designed? What was I born to achieve? What am I designed to do? If you're an architect, do architecture. If that's what you're designed to do, do that. But do it without attachment. Don't be attached to what it is that you're doing. Do it with love, with gratitude. Be grateful for every client that you have. And dedicate this action of architecture to realizing your goal of becoming a better human being. You know, what helps in understanding our nature is when we look outside. You know, I think that's why most of us are here in Denmark. We love nature and we have the most beautiful environment to be in here in Denmark. Beautiful environment. So when we look at nature, we see that every tree, every plant, every flower is just being itself. It is not trying to be anything else, anything apart from its own nature. That is what it is. And it shines brilliantly. The ocean is just being itself. The trees are just being themselves. And that's what makes them beautiful. That's why we love nature, because it is just being itself. Even animals. We love animals because they are just being themselves. Even the snakes we can appreciate because they are just being themselves. I had a funny experience with a snake last summer in November, that when they start coming out, apparently there's many of them at that time of year. And I was in our very small vegetable garden and there was a huge dugite, 2 meters long. And he was in between our flower beds, our vegetable beds. And I was looking down at this snake. I was about, I would say 2 meters away from him. I was looking down at him and he was looking up at me. And right there and then I could appreciate the beauty of that snake. He was looking up at me going, oh my God, look how big you are. I was looking down at him going, oh my goodness, look how big you are. You're so big. And he honestly so beautiful as well. I knew that if I'd have gone further ahead, he could have bitten me. Could have been fatal. That is the beauty of the snake. You may disagree. Anyway, everything in nature has its own nature. Every animal has its own nature. Every human has their own nature. And the theme of the Gita is to understand what our nature is and function according to our nature. See, I wasn't meant to be a fashion designer. I was meant to learn this philosophy and do whatever it is that I can do with the philosophy, i.e., taking a class like this or doing writing, whatever. This is my nature, and I'm doing it without attachment. There's no concern for who is here or how many people. There could be a handful, there could be many people. It doesn't concern me. What concerns me is, am I performing my obligations? Remember this word obligations? It's not a drudgery, as we talked about earlier. It is not a drudgery. An obligation is done out of gratitude. You are grateful for everything that you have been blessed with in life. This brings us to the third discipline, or the third yoga, which is bhakti yoga. So we've covered karma yoga, jnana yoga, now bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is being grateful, but not just being grateful, it's living a life of awe, being in awe of everything that you experience, because everything, whether you are talking to somebody, it's an amazing experience. Bhakti yoga is not just, this is one aspect of it, not just singing kirtans and bhajans and that sort of thing. This is one aspect, but you can lose yourself in that, and that's okay. But bhakti is living on a daily basis this attitude of gratitude for everything that you have been blessed with from the moment you're born right up till now. You know, Swami Parthasarathi, he used to say, have you paid your electricity bill? Sorry, not electricity, your oxygen bill. Have you paid your oxygen bill? From the moment we're born, we're getting oxygen free of charge. Have you paid your oxygen bill? No, we haven't paid it. Therefore, we're indebted. We owe a debt to the world for giving us oxygen for our whole life. This is bhakti yoga. And when we have this spirit of gratitude and love for everything, love without attachment. So love without attachment is selfless love. There's no selfishness there whatsoever. There's no I love you, you love me, that sort of thing. It's not like that. It's much, much higher than that. You're not looking at personalities at all. It's much bigger than all of that. So when you have this feeling of bhakti, automatically you want to give back. Automatically you want to give back. This is where karma yoga comes in. So there's a cycle of the three yogas. Karma yoga offloads the bulk of desires, so it makes you calm, makes you peaceful, makes you content with what you have. When you're content with what you have, you can work out of contentment. Okay, does that make sense? Karma, bhakti, jnanam. They're three spiritual disciplines that offload our desires, and we need to offload our desires to be able to meditate effectively. Meditation is somewhere down the track, but that doesn't mean you can't do a meditation class. You can, of course you can, but realize that you have to practice these four disciplines. Fourth meaning hatha yoga, meaning exercise. You have to keep the body fit and healthy, because this is the only vehicle that we have. Our body is the only vehicle that we have to carry us right through our life. So it needs to be fit and healthy so that we can act effectively, so that we can think rationally, so that we can feel divine emotions. Okay. I feel as if I've done a lot of talking here. Does anybody have any questions or clarifications or anything that they would like to add?
All of this is just really really touching. We've been practicing with my two kids. I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. Every dinner time it's what's the best thing that's happened to you today and what are you grateful for? And yeah, it's just nice to try and implement them in with the children as well. But just yeah, really appreciate everything you've said today because it's really touched a nerve with me, which is really good. Thank you.
Thanks. That's wonderful. Wonderful. I probably touched a nerve because it's the truth. It's just the truth. That's why Vedanta is a universal philosophy. It really is a universal philosophy. The Gita is meant for everybody, but people think that it is Hindu. Or nothing wrong with that, but people compartmentalize it. It is not. It's a universal philosophy because it talks about how to become a better human being.